Hi and welcome to Loft. We would like you to meet our team. Erica, our Business Development Manager. Maris, our Operations Director. Attorney Ian, our Division Head for Legal and Compliance. Faye, our Client Success Manager, who is assigned for the end-to-end business registration. We also have Susie for the billings, invoices, payments, receipts and liquidations, and lastly Sam for any assistance with office spaces booking. We will help to make your business registration experience a great one. First, we would like to provide you our timeline for pre- and post-incorporation business registration. For the pre-incorporation phase, 3 to 4 weeks would be required for the SEC incorporation. Registering with BIR would require 3 to 4 weeks. Notably, both BIR and LGU registrations will be executed simultaneously, but the LGU registration process is expected to take 4 to 6 weeks due to unforeseen inspections. It would then take 2 to 4 weeks to open a corporate bank account, and it would take another 2 to 4 weeks to complete the statutory registration and DOLE Rule 1020 process, which will be executed simultaneously as well. Included in the post-incorporation phase are the SEC post-incorporation reports that must be completed within 4 to 6 weeks, and your tax compliances with the BIR and LGU. The SEC registration is the first step in establishing a company. The Securities and Exchange Commission is a government organization that sets rules and regulations regarding the issuance, marketing, and trading of securities. The SEC is also charged with protecting investors. Here are the 5 main steps. First, we must complete the fact sheet for your proposed company name, capital structure, list of shareholders or officers, line of business, and others. The next step is to upload all necessary documents, which includes valid passport, proof of registration, land title, or lease contract. Submitting the SEC drafts would come next. Name verification, initial review, pre-approval, and additional compliance, if any, take place here. The 4th step involves sign-in and authentication of SEC documents, which must be wet-signed, notarized, and either authenticated or apostille. The certificate release comes last, where the final verification, payment of fees, release of digital and original certificate, and STB stamping happen. For the authentication process of SEC documents, which will be signed outside the Philippines, we have 2 options. First option would be with the Philippine Embassy. For this approach, we must secure a notarial appointment schedule online, then we must sign in the embassy in the presence of the consular officer. Afterwards, you may send the documents back to Loft. With the second option, you can work with any notary public in your area, obtain an apostille certification. After that, you may return the documents to Loft. In relation to the SEC post-incorporation reports, 3 compliances exist. First is the MC-28, and it is due 30 days after the date of incorporation. Next is to enroll in an SEC FAST account, which is your electronic filing and submission tool. The general information sheet comes last and must be completed within 30 days from the date of your annual meeting. After completing the SEC pre-incorporation phase and receiving the SEC certificate, we may move on with the BIR registration. The Bureau of Internal Revenue is mandated by law to collect national taxes in the country. Here, there are just 3 steps. The submission of all necessary documents, initial payment, and registration of the book of accounts would come first. Afterwards, the certificate of registration will be released, and finally, the primary receipts will be printed. Next is the registration with the local government unit. The objective here is to guarantee that your business is operating in full compliance with city ordinances. There are only 3 processes involved as well in the LGU registration. The first step would be to submit the requirements for the principal permits and initial payment. The evaluation and inspection of your declared office would come next, and then the issuance of operating permits for the company. The corporate bank account opening would be next for the company fund, bills, and investments. A corporate banking account also allows to keep business finances separate from personal finances. Opening a corporate bank account requires 3 stages. The first step would be to submit corporate and bank documents. The Know Your Customer protocol comes next, followed by an initial deposit. Activating your online bank portal would be the second stage, and activating supplementary online banking services would be the last and optional step. For a more flexible account opening process that does not require in-person visit to the bank, we highly recommend Union Bank. Then we have the statutory registration. Here we have 3 agencies to register with. The Social Security system comes first, providing private sector employees with Social Security protection. Second is the Home Development Mutual Fund, which help Filipino workers save money and provision of shelter. Lastly, the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, which oversees the implementation of national health care. Just a heads up that at least one declared Filipino employee is required before we proceed with the registration. There are just 2 stages for these 3 agencies. The employer number and certificate of registration will be released during the enrollment process. After that, the online portal will be activated, and payment forms for monthly contributions will be generated. It is also where you onboard and remove employees. Down to the DOLA Rule 1020, which is our last registration, companies in the Philippines who intend to hire at least 1 employee are required to register with the Department of Labor and Employment in order to safeguard the welfare and safety of their employees and to avoid being the target of labor complaints. This registration is valid for life, with the exception of events in which we must modify the company name and address. The first step would be to submit the requirements and application. The evaluation would come next, then the issuance of certificate of registration. As soon as the project is completed, our team will start the liquidation process, which should only take a week. Then we may hand over the documents once payment is already settled. That wraps up our end-to-end business registration process. For our communication channels, we will use Basecamp to full extent to facilitate general updates and file uploads. However, Viber or WhatsApp are also options if we need to communicate quickly. Thank you, and we look forward to collaborate with you.